Coming up today, Korea's rival parties are continuing to wrangle over a number of contentious bills. Unless the two sides agree to work together, thousands of pending bills could be scrapped in the coming months. With the second anniversary of North Korea's execution of Jang Sung-taek on the horizon, we take a closer look at the effectiveness of Kim Jong-un's reign of fear within the regime. Plus, in a rare national address, US President Barack Obama vows to destroy the Islamic State group, but says the US should not be drawn into a long and costly ground war. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Monday, the 7th of December. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. And we start at the National Assembly. Lawmakers now have just 2 days left before the 100-day regular session ends on this Wednesday. The rival parties are still having a hard time finding middle ground over some controversial bills, which could end up impacting thousands of other bills that have been gathering dust in Parliament for months. Park Ji-won starts us off.
Some of the bills the two parties had earlier decided to pass during this regular session still face uncertainty in their parliamentary passage. The leaders of rival parties had agreed earlier this month to pass a set of bills within this regular session. These include the Counterterrorism Act, a bill on the protection of North Korea's human rights, and an act promoting the service industry. But the Counterterrorism Act is facing strong resistance from the opposition blocs over a planned extended role by the nation's intelligence agency, while the Service Industry Promotion Act is also facing hurdles, with opposition parties concerned over any possibilities of the privatization of the health service. Regarding the 5 labor reform-related bills the rival parties earlier agreed to pass at the next extraordinary session, the presidential office and the ruling party are pushing the opposition bloc to have the bills passed within this year. This is because although extraordinary sessions are expected to be held later this month and over later months, once the 100-day regular session ends this Wednesday, bipartisan negotiations over bills at the standing committee stage will not be easy, as most lawmakers plan to focus on their upcoming election campaigns. As of now, over 11,000 bills are pending at the Assembly. These will be automatically lost at the end of next May, when the new Assembly is formed with newly elected lawmakers from next April's general elections. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Now, 5 South Koreans have been included on Bloomberg's list of the world's 400 wealthiest people. And something interesting to note is that the South Korean billionaires' combined wealth exceeds the GDP of a country not too far away. Kim Min-ji has more.
South Korea's 5 richest people have more money than North Korea's GDP. According to Bloomberg's Billionaires Index, 5 South Koreans made the list of the world's 400 richest people. They are Samsung Group Chairman Lee Gun-hee, Amore Pacific Chairman Seo Kyung-bae, Samsung Electronics Vice Chairman Lee Jae-yong, Hyundai Motor Group Chairman Chung Mong-gu, and SK Group Chairman Choi Tae-won. Combined, their assets make up $36.4 billion. According to Statistics Korea data, that's more than 18% higher than the GDP of North Korea, which stood at just over $29 billion last year. These 5 make up almost 3% of the South Korean economy. To give the figure some context, Korea's richest person, Lee Gun-hee's wealth stood at $11.9 billion. That means he could buy 30,000 Ferrari 458 Spiders. The world's richest was none other than Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft, whose assets stood at $83.4 billion. Fashion brand Zara owner Amancio Ortega ranks second, followed by Warren Buffett of Berkshire Hathaway. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now, US President Barack Obama gave a rare televised national address from the Oval Office on Sunday night local time, setting out his plans to deal with the threat posed by the Islamic State group. This comes after a radicalized Muslim couple killed 14 people in a mass shooting in California last week. In his only third Oval Office address since taking office, Obama acknowledged the attack was an act of terrorism and outlined how the government is continuing to tackle ISIS in Syria and Iraq. The US leader said that through a combination of continued airstrikes, providing assistance to local forces, moderate forces that is, and working with international allies, ISIS will be destroyed. But Obama ruled out a ground war in Syria or Iraq. He also called on Congress to address issues on gun control, such as prohibiting suspected terrorists on no-fly lists from buying firearms, as well as making it harder to buy powerful assault weaponry. Now, Korea's tech-heavy secondary bourse, the KOSDAQ, has recorded the 7th largest rise of 60 stock markets worldwide. According to Bloomberg data, as of December 4th, the KOSDAQ recorded a 26% rise, while the Korea's benchmark's KOSPI rose 3% to rank 24th. Venezuela's stock market recorded the highest rise at nearly 240%, and this was largely due to the collapse of the Venezuelan currency and an annual inflation rate of over 100%. Venezuela was followed by China's tech stocks and Argentine stocks. Now, traffic has been snarling in areas around the Seohae Bridge, which was closed down last Thursday after a fire broke out. Officials say repairs began on Saturday, excuse me, and are expected to take 20 days. The bridge should partially reopen on Christmas Day. Following investigations over the weekend, the Transport Ministry said Monday that 1 cable snapped and 2 were damaged in the fire. It's expected to cost almost $2 million to replace the cables. Now, a new report has shown that the vast majority of Korea's middle class actually identify themselves as members of a lower social status. A report also found that most of them expect to experience poverty in their later years. Park Se-young has the details.
65% of Korea's population falls in the middle class. For a family of 4, households with an income range of about $1,600 to $4,800 a month fall into the group. Statistically, those who earn between 50 and 150% of the median income are categorized as middle class. However, according to a survey by a local research institute, most middle-class Koreans identify themselves as lower than middle class. Based on responses from over 1,100 middle-class households consisting of 2 or more members in their 30s to 50s, only 1 out of 5 Koreans consider themselves middle class. And many had even more serious concerns about their futures. Nearly half of those surveyed said they were unprepared for life after retirement, and 40% expected to fall into the low-income sector during their later years.
Most people think they're in a worse situation than they really are. Because of this, people are more likely to drop out of the middle class after retirement.
In order to maintain their middle-class lifestyle, the researchers are encouraging households to accumulate assets that provide income after retirement. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un came to power in late 2012 after his father Kim Jong-il died. One of Kim's methods of consolidating power was to instill terror in his inner circle by purging and executing a number of his close aides. But how effective has it been, and could it end up backfiring on the North Korean leader? Connie Kim has this report.
On December 13, 2013, North Korea announced that Chang Song-taek, uncle to Kim Jong-un and once regarded as the second most influential man in North Korea, had been executed. Experts say Chang's removal was part of the young leader's efforts to consolidate his position after taking power in late 2012.
Kim Jong-un removed the threat of a potential uprising by getting rid of one of the regime's most powerful men. He was seeking stability in the short term.
The North Korean leader's reign of fear continues to this day. He had Hyun Young-chul, the country's defense chief, executed in April, and recently sent another member of the nation's core elite, Workers' Party Secretary Choi Ryong-hae, to a rural collective camp for re-education. The Seoul-based Institute for National Security Strategy believes nearly 100 high-ranking North Korean officials have been executed since Kim took power some 3 years ago. That's 10 times more than his father had executed during the first 4 years of his rule. While the spate of executions and purges seem to have worked thus far, some experts believe a backlash is inevitable.
A source familiar with goings-on inside North Korea said Kim's reign of terror has numerous high-level officials planning their escape from the country. Some are also said to be uneager to take high-ranking positions, fearing the potentially deadly consequences down the road. Many experts say it's probably too early to say whether Kim's politics of fear have made his position more stable or more shaky. But most agree the repeated executions may end up backfiring on Kim Jong-un at some point. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Now, travel around Korea is expected to undergo a transformation from next year as aviation companies are set to begin operating small passenger jets in regional areas. The new air taxis will significantly reduce often long travel times. Lee Ji-won has more.
This is a small regional jet that can sit 50 passengers. With a speed of 900 kilometers per hour, it will reduce what was a 6-hour express bus journey between Yangyang County and Gimhae City to less than an hour. A one-way ticket will cost about $77, approximately twice the bus fare. The company introducing the service will begin operations from as early as next year. It also plans expanding its operations to Jeju Island in time for the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympics.
With a speed this fast, it will only take 30 minutes to get anywhere in South Korea, and 50 seats are just right for the Korean market.
Other companies are also jumping into the market. In May, another small air transportation company bought these jets to operate from Ulsan Metropolitan City and Pohang City to Gimpo City. The government is also looking to introduce a similar service for Ulleungdo Island and Heuksando Island within the next 5 to 6 years. This would turn a 5 to 9 hour trip involving trains, buses, and boats to a quick 1-hour plane ride. The government plans to build a short 1,200-meter runway on each island.
The plan is to minimise difficulties in travelling to and from these islands for both residents and tourists, and hopefully boost the domestic economy. Also, it will be of great use in monitoring illegal fishing vessels and rescue actions.
The government says it will seek residents' opinions on the project and will work to minimize environmental damage. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
Now, we are approaching the end of the year, and that means it's time for some of 2015's biggest blockbusters to hit cinema screens in Korea. For a rundown of the movies to watch out for this month, Kim Ji-yeon reports.
There's a lot of movies to look out for this winter. One of them is The Tiger, which centers around the Joseon Dynasty's last tiger and the best gunman of the times, played by star actor Choi Min-sik. The movie cost nearly $15 million to make, most of which went into refining the CG to make the tiger look as realistic as possible.
I really like the showdown between those who tried to preserve nature and those who wanted to destroy it for their own greed.
Another star of Korea's silver screen is Hwang Jung-min, who is starring in the upcoming film The Himalayas. It's a story about an expedition team that tries to recover their fallen colleague from the mountain range. Parts of the movie were actually filmed in the Himalayas, meaning production didn't come cheap.
I always think people power is the most important source of energy in a mountain. That's what I felt when I read the scripts and while shooting in the Himalayas.
The Magician is ready to draw in moviegoers at the end of the year. It stars Yoo Seung-ho, who's sure to win the hearts of female audiences. The movie plot centers around love and confrontation between top magicians during the Joseon Dynasty. On the Hollywood scene, legendary actor Harrison Ford joins a mix of old and new stars in the highly anticipated release of Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
There's a high chance The Tiger and the Himalayas will be big hits in the box office this winter, as Korean movies have regained traction. It'll be a fight between Korean movies against the Star Wars movie.
Korean movies Assassination and Veteran both attracted more than 10 million viewers this summer. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Well, that's all we have for now. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for watching. We'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. Goodbye.